Hey, for stopping by this afternoon.
Oh, thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited, and I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about Stomio, because one, you don't hear about beta testing and hardware too often. So I'm excited to learn about how it actually applies to IoT community in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me share a couple of slides so I can just give you some visuals as we go
Yeah,
talk
or
about the
actually,
conversation.
maybe before we jump into that, I'd love to just maybe go over a little bit about your background, if possible. I know you've actually had quite a history in the testing space, but with companies like Cisco and what was it, Snap AV, the last company?
Snap one, yeah. Yeah, so I've been in product for almost my entire professional career. I've
Oh,
been a
cool.
product manager, mostly on the hardware side. And I went from after business school, I was lucky enough to join Snap AV at the time. Now it's Snap One, they're a public company, and help them launch an in-house brand for networking products for the high-end residential space. So we built literally a networking brand from the ground up for that space. And after 5 years, 5.5 years, we were um, number one market share for that market. We were number two brand for Snap One, and they continue the legacy and be like really successful at that. After that, I moved to the Bay, where I am. So welcome from my office slash laundry room in the Bay Area. It's Bay Life. Then moved to Bay to join Cisco Meraki, and I was fortunate enough to lead their SD-WAN product portfolio. And we grew that product line from 2 product lines to 5 product lines, and it's in the hundreds of billions of dollars of scale and impact. And that was a very rewarding experience. But that was the experience that kind of started the observation and the pain that we started Stomio on top of to make sure that we have a solution for a problem that exists.
Awesome. And you said networking, just stepping back real quick, the Snap AV was in networking for audio visual. That's the AV portion?
So Snap AV, now Snap One, is basically a company that makes all kinds of high-end audio video equipment for the smart home audio, right? So smart
Ah,
home
okay.
market. So think about, if you're a wealthy individual and you have a lot of properties or have big properties, you would need to do home automation, you would need to do home theater, you need to do some security. So all of these elements, you would hire a audio video professional, basically,
Mhm.
to install it for you. And that audio video integrator or professional will basically integrate multiple solutions from multiple companies and create a solution that fits your needs. And Snap One is a gorilla in that space. They have a
Yeah.
lot of in-house brands. They have a lot of distributed brands that they partner with. So their catalog is north of 4,000 SKUs. All of the, is hardware. All of it. It's professional audio video. So it's really cool.
Awesome, awesome. And so you I'm assuming were exposed to a lot of integration, a lot of different, kinds of products that you had to integrate into a solution there. But then you mentioned growing the product line and the SKU at Cisco. And Cisco Meraki is just is a branch of Cisco.
Yeah, it's a subsidiary. So it's Cisco acquired Meraki, I think back in 2013 or
Hmm.
2012. So
Okay.
Meraki used to be a startup on its own, and Cisco acquired it. But it's one of the few acquisitions that Cisco made and maintained the entity of Meraki. So the brand continued to be the same. They had Meraki offices and Meraki culture and development process that is separate from Cisco. And there was some leveraging of what it makes sense, right? Like where's bargaining power or whatnot. But at Meraki, it's a completely different market, still in the networking space, but completely different target market. The target market is businesses, usually retailers, most of them, and multiple segments. So you have service providers and 5 different segments and global outreach. But the value proposition for Meraki solution is to make sure that if you have distributed IT, what we call, so you have a lot of locations, let's say pick your favorite coffee chain, you have thousands of locations, you need to service them from a centralized space via cloud. So cloud managed networking was a big deal, still is a big deal for Meraki, and that space is evolving very, very rapidly. So my product line was on the WAN edge, so the devices that connect those branches to their data centers, whether the data centers were in physical data centers or in cloud-based data centers in AWS and Azure.
Awesome. Well, it's a fascinating story, kind of moving from the IT world and the networking world to the product development world. And you mentioned a little bit about a little overview of Stomio. I'd love to, learn a little bit about kind of the thought process. How did you discover this pain point, and then kind of what exactly is the service that Stomio is offering when it comes to beta?
Absolutely. So I'll share a couple of slides. So just help us visualize the conversation as we go through it. So give me a thumbs up if you see them.
Yeah. Hey,
right.
awesome.
Yeah, so this is tailor-made for Ioterra community. So this is us, obviously. But Stomio, if you think about it, what Stomio is a platform for product teams to help them reduce the overhead and maximize the impact of their beta testing phase during product development. So what we found out over and over again as we built product and launched product, and most of these products took 18 to 36 months in development, right? So it's a very long cycle. Is there's quite a bit of overhead, a lot of pain exuded by the product team, especially when it comes to beta testing. So it's really built out of real pain, and I was fortunate enough to launch more than 70 products in my career over 10 years. Both at Snap and Meraki, with hundreds of millions of dollars of impact, and they were all world-class products. So the bar is high, and that should be the bar, I would assume, for the community at Ioterra, because now the expectation is much higher on the consumer front or on the user of the product. And what we found out over and over again, that beta testing is really hard. And when we get to the phase when we need to do beta testing with real people, right, with either internal people or external people, our customers, it's chaos. You have to go and scramble to get your list of beta testers. You have to qualify them. You chase your tail trying to get them to agree or sign an NDA, some sort of an NDA or beta agreement. You need to spend time, probably days, writing instructions to make sure that they actually execute on a bare minimum that you need to get their feedback on. Shipping is a logistical nightmare. So because we're dealing with a scale of hundreds, sometimes thousands of units we need to ship to individuals. So that's also a nightmare that we had to go over. And then literally beg people to actually test, right? So that was like the most challenging part. Is like, these are our customers and these are people who actually raise their hands and say like, yes, we would love to beta test your product in the future or the next big product. And we send them product and we send them instructions and crickets, right? We get nothing. And actually that was like the interesting stats. I started monitoring that statistic there, and the best case we got was 20% response rate. This is like the best one. What's average is probably 10%. And if you think about it, this is like 90% of the opportunity, 90% of the feedback you're not getting. And for product professional, for product person, this is the gold mine of all gold mines, right? This is the data that you need. This is the input that you need before your product launch to make sure that you're launching the right product. The product works in real life, and when it launches, you go into exercise or get the results that you're expecting out of the product. So that was very challenging. And then for those that we get response from, so let's say we send 1,000 units and we get 100 people to respond, we would spend literally days trying to comb through all their feedback, because we use just survey tools, right? That's what's available for us, a Google form or SurveyMonkey, and you end up with a lot of data that needs to be cleaned up, and then you have to synthesize it and analyze it and trying to see if this is a one-time issue that is reported or this is a systemic issue that's been reported, right? So all of these challenges, and we couldn't find a good solution for it. At one point, so like, we're going to build it. I'm going to build it. We're going to find a solution that we're going to build for it. So where it fits really is, if you look about, I'm sure that your community at Ioterra is very familiar with this process. Is a typical hardware development process, an IoT development process, is you go through a phase gate, right? You start from your ideation, or you start your concept buildings, like, hey, we need to build, or we think we can build this thing, right? This product. And that could be from multiple inputs. Could be, customer requests, could be some market trend, could be technology change. For example, when we were at Meraki, 5G is up and coming, And so we have to build something that is servicing this future trend and future technology. And our customers ask for it for sure. And then it could be just a refresh of an existing product line that you have. So, and then you build your business case, you make sure that you allocate the resources for it, and you get people to your executive team to sign up on it. And then you kick off your engineering effort, right? So start kick off the development. And that process from here to here is usually 18 to 24 months. So when you get to your EVT, which is electrical validation testing, this is when you get your first bare bones of the product, and you start doing alpha testing, usually internally with your engineering team, like usually between engineering and product team, very small scale, probably 10 to 30 units that you want to test. And then you move on to your design validation. So this is more of a complete product. You have a firmware running on it. You have some sort of an MVP running, and you start to expand your testing pool, right? So you go from 10 to 30 to probably 50, 70 units. And then you go to production validation, which is now you start sending to the masses. We think that this is like almost ready to go. We're trying to see the feedback. We're trying to see if everything looks good before we actually go mass production. Which is the final phase. And this is when you start to see hundreds of units and thousands of units, right, going into the field as beta units. And mass production, that's the goal. Once you go and churn the factory to get you thousands and tens of thousands of units, sometimes hundreds of thousands of units, you do not want to disrupt this machine, right? Because that's expensive, that's, you know, out of stock inventory and whatnot. So where we fit, and we interviewed dozens of companies over the last couple of years, not just my experience. And they have different nomenclatures for this, whether internal alpha, external alpha, beta, or whatnot. Where we fit is that really when you start to have the need to send units to people, more than 5 people. And that's usually we see it as early as alpha testing, because if you have a big alpha phase, you would need probably 30 people. So you need to collect that feedback. You need to streamline the process. You need to make sure that everything is regimented. And definitely when you go to your beta phase, whether internal beta or external beta, this is when you start to get into 50 plus units. You get to 100 plus units. We've seen people sending 4,000 units in external betas. And you can think about the product team, which is usually a handful of people, just trying to manage this entire process. And they have other things on their plate that they need to deal with. So that's where we fit in. And we talked about the challenges, right? So what we think is the solution, we built the solution on these tenets. So it is so Stomio is a place that you can centrally manage all of your beta testing as a product organization in one place. And that's a challenge on its own, because you typically don't run one product launch. You typically, as a product company, you have 3, 5, 10, sometimes 20, right, running in parallel and different stages. So you need to see what's coming and what's active and what's been launched in terms of beta testing. So this is a place for you to see everything in one place. The most important thing, which is the heart of the solution, is what we talked about, the low engagement rate that we got from our testers in my experience. And when we talked, actually, we interviewed beta testers and we asked them about their experience and why the testing experience is not as good as it should be. And the feedback from the testers is, very few companies, they actually put effort and they put thought process into their experience. Most of the companies, they would just send them a unit, give them a long spreadsheet or a long PDF and tell them test it in 2 weeks, right? And for them as testers, they say, oh, this is time out of my personal life, this is time out of my professional life, I'm dedicating time, I'm passionate about the product, I'm passionate about the company. But the time expectation is not well managed. And also the experience is not great because I have to read a lot of documents and make sure that I submit in really archaic way, either send via email or go to a forum page or survey or what have you. So we created a way that makes this experience much more modern, much more engaging, much more fun. And that's the tasks that I'll show you probably in a minute. And then the couple of things is that we heard from our interviews is that there's the communication coming back to the product team. Now it goes through mailers, and mailers, nobody really like mailers. So it's a lot of threads and really hard to stay on top of those threads. It becomes very impersonal very quickly. So you need to make sure something that is going to be more modern, easy to manage, and more fun to use. And you see it in the demo in a minute. And then obviously, as you get that feedback, we talked about just the need to analyze that feedback at scale. So we found a way, I think, in the product that gives you a lot of insights instantly in real time, that you don't have to go into some extra analysis in spreadsheets. And this is a very evolving book of work that we're working on. And the last tenet that we built on is how can we integrate with existing workflows? So we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to make sure that we fit in seamlessly within the product process and also within their workflows. And we're exploring now a lot of integrations, whether it's Gmail, whether it's Slack, whether it's Salesforce. We heard a lot about that. So making sure that we ease the pain with existing tools that the teams are using and make it very, very, very seamless. But I can talk all day, but how about I show you some quick demo?
Yeah, no, I'd love to see it. I'm fascinated with how this actually works for hardware products, because I've been there too. That, after you have that engineered, validated test, you need to actually like get feedback before you make the big critical decisions to like go to tooling, for instance.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things that can. Feedback is critical, so it's hard to do with hardware products. Yeah, I'd love to see it.
And also, it's very expensive to do, as you see. Like, it's the wrong decision will delay everything for 3 months at least. Yeah. So what you see here, and let me just think a little bit. Okay. So you have two screens here. One is on the right side. This is the see it in a minute, which is the tester view, right? Their tester. And this is a demo environment that we created. So I'm assuming I'm, part of a audio company, that's, Sonos-like or JBL-like company, that I'm building smart audio devices, right? So I log in as a manager, and you see that I have all of my betas in one place. So this is the first tenant we built on. You have like a centralized view of all of your betas that you can see. You have 2 active betas. I have 2 in draft mode that are coming next, and I have some archived betas here. I launched in the past and closed them. Let's go into one of them, which is the smart soundbar. So this is also a demo one that we have. So I go into the smart soundbar, and this is, by the way, live demo. This is not fake cycle. So if there's a bug, you'll see a bug live.
Yeah.
And so you can see this is like a really quick and easy view of my beta now that's running, right? So it's a smart soundbar. I have some description of what it is. I see that it is active. I see that I have 29 testers I invited, and how many days remaining. So I put it as full year. And what is my completion rate of the tasks? So this is a task that I assigned to my testers. So I assigned them 5 tasks that are simple, right? So I need them to unbox some stuff, install it, set it up, stream music, and give us just channel feedback, right? So this is a quick view of the task that I created. And this is also a quick view of my testers, right? So I have 29 testers invited. So I can go in and you can see this is a list of them. I can go back, I can add more. This is the managers. So I can invite you, if you are my organization, we can collaborate on this project, on this beta. We can see the results and we can analyze everything together. And you can see also the quick snapshot of the metric that we have in terms of the beta, right? And I'll dig into that in a minute. But the critical part that we talked about, which is the second tenet, is the engaging tasks. And what we did is we created, I think the best analogy is one of the interviews that we had is that we digitized instructions, basically. So these are the 5 tasks that I created for all of my testers, right? And you start with unboxing, and each task has its own steps. And those steps can be just instructions, and they can be also feedback questions. So instead of a survey that goes really long survey, it's like question, it is more of like an instruction, give me feedback, instruction, give me feedback, right? And this is the more engaging way as people go through, as a tester goes through it. An example of this, let's say, hey, this is the unboxing one. So we take things out of the shipping package, and you can expand it and see what's in it, right? So you can see, okay, take items out of the box as an instruction and give them a picture. But also I'm asking a question, okay, select all the items that you see in the box. And that's a way for me to get feedback from them and make them engaged. And also a way for me to measure did they receive all the components that I expect them to have in the box? So if somebody uncheck optical cable, for example, it means that they missed that component and there's a shipping problem or packaging problem. I can go to my QA team and say, somebody missed it. So that's kind of the way that we set up instructions. And you can see it in a minute here in my tester environment. So if you can, actually I'll go to the left side. So the left side, if you can see, I go as a tester, right?
I see. So you can kind of add questions as a manager here or as the admin and kind of create your full testing experience.
Basically, yeah. So I created this kind of a wizard way that I built as a manager, and I can add more tasks and I can add more steps in each task. And for the tester side, and by the way, everything is responsive. So you can see this is more of a tablet view on the left side. So this is the tester that participated. So they can log in, they can see the smart soundbar, they can see how many tasks available for them, how many days remaining. So that now the time expectation is set. It's not 1 week or 2 weeks, maybe 2 months or 3 months. So they know the urgency. And they go to the task list. You can see, okay, the same 5 tasks that I created here for me as a manager, they see it as a tester and they see each step inside of those tasks. But the cool thing that we have, and we got feedback on, is that because we sequence those steps, we're going to drive more engagement. So let's say I'm a tester, I really want to stream music and see what that experience is like. You cannot unlock this task until you finish all the tasks ahead of it. So that make sure that you're going through the same sequence I want you to go through it and give me that feedback that I would like to get you through it. And it's also, you can see it's a very fun way. So you can see, okay, this is the first task. You see some pictures. I can start it. I can see task is the instruction. Take items out of the box. I can go next. See serial label. Go next. Now we start to get the engagement, right? So I'll make sure that, okay, give me the serial number you find, right? So I can just type in the serial number that I found. Go next. Okay, take items out of the box. Go next. Okay, now select all the things that apply, right? So, okay, I see a soundbar, I see mounting bracket, I see everything that you have here. Good. Next.
Kind of like a TurboTax experience. It's only giving them what they need to do next.
Exactly. Just we can focus, call it micro instructions, actually. Just keep them focused, keep them engaged. Because the focus cycle now with all the social media app is really, really short. Attention span is really, really short.
Spans.
So make sure that they're focusing on really something micro and tiny. And then you ask them questions like, okay, you finished unboxing. This is the best opportunity for you to get feedback on that unboxing experience. Not a week after the fact, send them a survey and tell them what was your unboxing experience like, because they might have forgotten about it. You have recency bias, you have other biases in the system. So you can say, okay, well, I like it. I can just go and give it 4 out of 5.
And you can answer you can upload like a free response section too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
So, and then you go on and on with your tasks, right? So I finished 1 task now, right? So you can see this is done. I can go back and update my feedback if I want to, or I can move on to the next one, which is installation. So at any point of time as a tester, I can pause, go do my thing, come back to it, see where I left off, and then just continue that process. So we believe that's going to drastically change the way the testers' experience can look like, and consequently have more testers actually spend time and give you feedback on it, because now you really thought about their experience. You really gave them a good platform and a good tool to guide them through it step by step and gauge that input as they go through it. So that's the second tenet. The third tenet we talked about is the ability to consolidate all communication into one place, right? And that's through ticketing system. So you can see here a ticket, and that ticket is for all of my betas, right? So as a product team, I can filter the tickets I see by the active beta that I'm running. I can filter it by the type of ticket. So if somebody is stuck in a process here, right, in a task, they can open up a ticket and say, hey, I'm stuck. I cannot move on with my tasks until I see this problem solved. So for example, if you ask me to power on the sound bar, but there is no power cable that was provided to me, I'm stuck. I want to continue. I want you to help me with that product. Or there's a bug that is reported, or I have a general question about the product, or I have an idea to improve the product, right? So these are the types of
the actual user is the one who's setting up these bugs. So if you went into setup, for instance, or you went back into install, right, on the left, you can You can set up a little
ticket.
ticket.
Yeah, so I can go, for example, here and say, this is the task for installation. Okay, install TV mounted. Okay, I'm going to open up a ticket and say, well, I'm stuck. No mounting bracket, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm trying to install wall, but can't find mounting bracket.
Yeah.
Right. So I can create that ticket here, and you'll see it in a minute immediately. So no mounting bracket on the left. So as a manager, I see a new ticket and somebody's stuck, right?
Mm.
So I can click on it and say, okay, I see this user, which is Jefferson Edge. I got this thing. It's like, okay, sorry for the inconvenience. And now I'm going to try to, oh, I wrote it. We'll ship you one overnight today, right? And I posted this. So I can go back as a tester here and see that I got an update on the ticket. This is the ticket I created, and I got the feedback from the product team immediately, right? So you can see that chat-like experience, it makes it very personable, right? So now you know who you're talking to is a product person in the company. You're not talking to some customer success person or some technical support person or some salesperson. You're talking to the people who are actually managing the product, and you're giving feedback to those people who are actually managing the product, and you're getting response from them very quickly, very easily. And it's not only chat, it's also you can upload text and images and whatnot, right? So you can see this is another ticket that I uploaded, for example, as a tester. So, hey, I missed my product. Where's my shipment? And it's like a fake conversation that I did back and forth. And it's like, okay, it's here. And I uploaded the picture, right? And say, I found it, right? And it's like, okay, I'm going to close it, right? So the problem is solved. So this way you can see it's now solved, and it's moved at the bottom of my list here as solved, and there's an update on it, right? So that's way, think about not just a single beta. This is multiple betas. You're running, it could be 3, 5, 10 betas consequently, or concurrently. And then you can see all of the feedback that you're getting, and you can filter it by the beta type that is active, and you can filter it by the type. So if you want to start your day, hey, I want to see solve who's stuck, I can go and just filter by who's stuck and just get them done. Or I want to see all types. So that's the third element, which is an easy centralized way to manage all the communications that is not dated mailers or impersonal mailers, make it really fun and engaging, and have people send you feedback.
Interesting. I can see opportunities to just kind of like A/B test things in this manner too. Maybe send 20 of the beta testers some configuration of your product, and send another 20 a separate configuration, and see how they respond.
Or we can do like what we did also in the past when we had 2 versions of the product. They're just iterations of it. So let's say you have a product, an access point that is internal antenna, and an access point that is external antenna, right? You have an iPhone regular size or iPhone Max, right? So these are the 2 variations of the same product launch that you're trying to do, or 3 variations, and start to see any correlations between the feedback, or start to have different specific tasks for those different variations, right? So that's ticketing. The fourth one we talked about, which is analyzing feedback at scale. So this is going back to our active beta. We have 29 testers, we have people responding, and we have some snippets of the feedback that we're getting. So if I want to dig into a little bit deeper, and we're building more that, it's going to be this really big book of work. I click on see all details, and now I can see more data about my active beta, right? Without going through any spreadsheet, right? So there's a lot of information available at my fingertips. One of them is the number of testers here. So you can see my tester funnel, right? So I can see how many people I invited, how many people I accepted, how many people finished at least one task that I provided, how many people finished half of the tasks that I provided, how many people finished all of the tasks that I provided, right? And that on its own gives me a lot of insight of my tester behavior or my tester pool behavior. And you can also see from a task perspective, right, where people are dropping off, right? So you can see a lot of people who started the task, finished the task, all of them. 2/3 of them or more who started the task. They finished the second task, but half of them finished the third task. And as you progress through time, you start monitoring this trend. And as you get closer towards the end of the program, you can see, okay, maybe things are not working in this specific task, right? People are dropping off quite a bit. So let's dig into that, right? And then we're getting into a task summary, and there's these 2 tabs are being built this week. Actually, we're going to launch them, where you can dig into the step itself, right? And you can see on task, setup, step 4, when I tell them to power on the soundbar, I see a lot of drop off, right? And I can start ask why and start probe people why this happened, right? So this is a very evolving view. I say if you share this view probably a month from now, you'll see a lot more functionality, but this is something that we're thinking heavily on, and how can make it intelligent, how can we make it very easy to do, and obviously we want to export raw data in Excel format if you want to dig into that.
And can you dig into individual user responses?
That's what we're building next. That's we heard that a lot.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
So obviously, this is also a user database that you can see all of your testers and keep them maintained and see all of their feedback and all that fun stuff. But you can see what we have now is that we built on the tenants, and we're digging now into integrations. And we heard a lot about Salesforce integration to make sure that the customer data is easy to pull from Salesforce. The shipping nightmare is going to be easily automated through the platform with Salesforce integration. So that's a giant book of work that we're digging into now as we build our product and make sure that we are solving all the problems one-to-one.
Very cool. Well, I'm excited to see. To see how potential uses of this in the hardware space. Do you do any white labeling? Like, what's the business model behind this?
So it's the business model is going to be more of a SaaS model, where we provide access to the platform based on tiers, and we're still interviewing and digging into what our pricing model is going to look like and what our business model is going to look like. But I can envision an enterprise tier today that has enterprise features, and some of the enterprise features are going to be a lot around security, data security, and privacy. Right, that's a very important book of work for enterprise customers, because this is sensitive data by nature. And also a lot more customization and white labeling, right? Where they can say, put their branding on, they can put their logo on, we can have it maybe powered by Stomio or whatnot. So this feels more organic to the company operation, and their users feel that it is something that is built by the company for them. So I think that we're going to get on the new trend of customer built solution, where the customers can build their own sort of customized tool from the platform. And you can see the first glimpse of it with tasks and steps, because we just give you the tools to build it, right? So you can build your own sequence, you can bring your own flow, and we're going to improve on that quite a bit. And then, labeling and making sure that it is going to be something that is more customized for the company. I can envision that as an enterprise tier feature.
Very cool. Well, thank you for showing the demo. It's really cool to see it in action, and I think it's definitely useful. I'm excited to show it to the Terra community and see if people can use it in their daily workflow. I know that you guys are it is launched and officially live and everything, but you're sort of in a beta as well right now, getting people's input and things like that. Yeah, how can I help you spread it to the Terra community?
Yeah, so we are in open beta phase, right? We call it early access phase. It is pretty much a live platform, and we already accepting applications, and we onboarded some early adopters that they are testing it internally within their teams, and they're giving us feedback on it as we speak. So we are in the phase that we are collecting feedback, and we were partnered with a select customers that are experiencing the pain, and we're going to launch with them. So we're asking, this is what we built, what's missing, right? How can we make sure that it's going to be useful from day one for you and your team? How are we going to make sure that this is going to solve your pain? So we are going to extend our offering and our early access to the IoTerra community. And we're actually doing a special offer for IoTerra community that is not
Oh, very
accessible for everyone online. So the first 10 signups from IoTerra community will get Stomio for free the entire year for 2022. So it could be commercializing in 2 months and they continue to have it for the rest of the year, or it could be commercializing in August and they can continue to have it for the entire 2022. And then
Very cool.
2023, we'll go into see how it goes.
It'll be fun. Yeah. No, thanks for the offer here. I think that people will definitely take you up on it.
Well, I hope so. Yeah. And I'm really excited about that. So all you have to do is either click on the link if you see the slides, or type it in, or scan the QR code. It will take you to a sign up form that is specific for IoTerra community. And we will review that application and then hopefully invite you to join us as an early access customer and partner with you and get your feedback.
Awesome. I have another question that might have been suited for a little farther back, but does this also work well, or have you seen people use it for software, getting feedback on software products and software?
Yes. Yes. Actually, we had one of the first early adopters is a software company. And they say that the challenges that they ran into in beta testing their solution are consistent. So they found aspects of the solution that is interesting to them, and they actually going to use it and give us feedback on it. And when we interviewed people in the past, we saw the same feedback in software. So in software, it's different because there's a lot of behavioral tools. So you can go to, video recording, such as user testing, you can do heat mapping, you can infer some of the behavioral analysis of it. But what's missing is that qualitative feedback, right? So it's either you have to do one-on-one interviews and give feedback, and usually cap it at 10 interviews. So we can see actual usability of the platform in software products, and we're thinking about that too. How can we think about maybe a branded modal in a beta feature that guides you through where you have to go. So that's your tasks, right? And then as you go through it, it's already there. It's always consistent on the side and probing you for feedback. What do you feel like, and how do you feel about this thing? And what is the rating, right? So all of these qualitative feedback information that you really want to get that input on the spot and not wait until you have, a survey a week after to get that feedback from. So definitely we see some interest, and we're definitely thinking about how we leverage the platform in both hardware and software, but we're focusing now on hardware.
Awesome. Well, hey, I really I appreciate the time going over the solution here. It's exciting to see in the space. I think that you can never have enough feedback. It just seems logical that the more feedback you get earlier on, the better. And that I know in the hardware space, it's often difficult. So this is very cool to see.
Thank you. If you like us, follow us on LinkedIn. If you really like us, scan the QR code and sign up and get the free access for an entire year. We'd love to partner with you as part of the IoTerra community. We are obviously very interested in partnering with IoTerra. We announced it, one of the first partnerships that we have in the life of the company. And we want to build that relationship and build that deep connection to the community that IoTerra is building. So hopefully we can be a long-term partner in the future.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you for the time, and have a great rest of the week.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.